Hello everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. On today's video, I want to talk a little bit about 2022 and basically recap the events that took place on this channel because it was quite a hectic year, but we started off with a bang and we just didn't stop. At least I certainly don't feel like we did. There was a lot of things that I picked up this year, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the games that I played this year in particular and some of the goals moving forward to 2023. And at the end, I want to show off my complete game wall and all the progress that we've made up to this point. So anyways, once again, welcome to the CesArcade.
Get ready.
Now before we start the video off proper, I do want to make mention of a podcast that I was invited to join, and that is the Cold Takes podcast with Jay from Cold Nights Gaming, and I really did appreciate him having me on. It was great to actually share some of my history with video games, collecting in general, and my action figure collection. And in case you guys didn't know, I have a separate channel for action figures, and yeah. 2 channels, it's ridiculous, but definitely check out Cold Nights Gaming's podcast with me, Scorpio Caesar, at his channel, and it'll be in the link in the description down below, and it should be popping up on the top right hand corner of your screen as well. And thanks for having me on, Jay. I really did appreciate it, and I really do hope to be on another one of your future podcasts. Starting things off, like I said, we started off with a bang in January. We ended up going to a video game store, well, the video game store, that's what it's called actually, in Wilkes-Barre, PA. And this was actually my second visit to this location, and I was able to actually do a video and a little bit of a video game hunt, which was really nice. It's not something I get to do on this channel very often. I would like to do a little bit more of, but unfortunately, those kind of places are too few and far between in this area, so I have to make do with what I got. And I did a pretty good video. I really did enjoy it, and we started off with some amazing pickups. I picked up a Sega Dreamcast, and I started with this one and basically worked my way backwards to getting a Sega Saturn. Well, actually I ended up getting 2 Sega Saturns, and I ended up trading one of them to Surgeman X for a Super Nintendo that I desperately needed. But besides the point, I ended up getting a Model 1 Sega Genesis as well, and I was really happy to pick all these 3 up because I grew up alongside Sega, but I never grew up with them. I never actually owned any Sega consoles, and thankfully I was able to change that this year. And I picked up a ton of games for the Sega Dreamcast in particular, as well as some heavy hitters for the Sega Saturn that I really am so ecstatic and happy that I actually own physically, because the Sega Saturn is not an easy system to collect for. Hell, the Sega Dreamcast can get a little bit pricey too, but that one's a little more doable. The Sega Genesis, it's hit or miss. When it comes to retro collecting and retro game consoles, it's always like up and down. But in terms of like collecting for Sega Saturn, that's the most expensive and the most painful to collect for. I also ended up getting a PS1. And if you remember the video game hunt video where I got the Dreamcast, I also made mention of buying a PS1. Now there's a PlayStation Model 1, you know, the original PlayStation, and then there's the PS1, which was basically Sony's slimline version of the original PlayStation. It's really small. I remember my cousins had it when I was growing up, and I always wanted it because I thought it was cute. But I never did actually own it up until now. So when I originally bought it at the video game store, unfortunately the video signal was bad, so I had to return it, and I ended up buying one off eBay much later on in the year, and this thing has been a godsend. I love playing my PlayStation 1 games on it with RGB SCART cables. And talking about RGB SCART cables, I think I went a little overboard, but I invested a lot in terms of like HD upscalers. I ended up getting a new capture card, which has been awesome, thankfully, thanks to Surgeman X for the suggestion. I ended up getting the M Classic to go with the Gecko box for my Dreamcast, and I also picked up the RetroTink 5X Pro. It's kind of a necessary evil. It's expensive, but it's worth it. The RetroTink 5X has been one hell of an HDMI upscaler for some of my older consoles. Hooking that thing up with some of my older consoles has been amazing. To get the quality and clarity from these consoles at the best resolutions I could possibly get onto my TV in crisp detail and actually getting some capture of it, it's wonderful. It's definitely something I really suggest anybody who is looking to purchase older game consoles, definitely look into the RetroTink series of products. Now let's talk a little bit more about the channel in particular in terms of video content. I did one review this year, and unfortunately reviews take a lot of time, and it's not really something that I was focusing on when I started up this channel again. I do want to make video reviews for games that I'm really passionate about, and one of them was Cat Lateral Damage Remastered, which also recently got a physical release that I did an unboxing for from Limited Run Games. But I was really happy to make that review, and it stars my cat Siri as well. So to have her in that video was kind of a little passion project of mine. So I was really happy to get that video out. Unfortunately, it didn't perform that well, but it's there if anybody wants to watch it. When the passion is there for a certain game or series that I want to talk about, I put out a video for it. In the case of Alien Day 2022, I did a video talking about my history with Alien video games from the Alien franchise, and that video was pretty fun to do. I also did a top 10 favorite Star Wars games of all time, which unfortunately that video bombed. I actually took down the original one and re-uploaded it because I missed something, and that one still bombed, and that's pretty unfortunate that it did, but it's just the way of things, I guess. And also I launched my series that I've been planning since I started this channel up again, Monster Mayhem. Now what that series is going to be about moving forward is going to be video games based off popular kaiju and tokusatsu series, such as Godzilla, Ultraman, you know, there's War of the Monsters, there's the King of the Monsters, a new game called Gigabash came out not too long ago. Hell, I got a video for Primal Rage that I've been cooking up for quite some time, and I want to do something special for those videos and talk about those games in particular because they really do mean a lot to me, and it's one of my favorite genres of all time. So hopefully I can get some more episodes of Monster Mayhem out soon. Talking about passionate videos, the Rocky video that I uploaded in 2021 was a slow burn, but it finally reached 1,000 views, and I'm really happy with the reception on that. It doesn't get that much in terms of comments, but the likes it's getting and the actual view count, it means that it's you know, people are watching it on a daily basis as well. It's probably one of my more top performing videos, and I'm really happy that it's actually getting the traction that it deserves because I put a lot of work into that video, and I do have a sequel planned, but I need to get in better shape for that one because what's the point, right? Another video that I was really proud of that I did in 2022 was my Sega Dreamcast buying guide video. Buying guides aren't something that I tend to really like to do because people are going to be like, oh, this is maybe good for you, but it may not be good for somebody else. That being said, I was really happy with how it came out. It was kind of a love letter to the Dreamcast, a console that I just recently got my hands on and really enjoyed the hell out of. Hell, the Sega Dreamcast has been notched up to one of my favorite consoles of all time. Now, it's not the favorite console of all time, but it's certainly up there. And that also has something to do with a certain game called Shenmue. I have a lot to talk about with this game in particular. It's such a fantastic game. To be able to experience this groundbreaking game all these years later, it doesn't change a damn thing. This game still feels groundbreaking to this day, at least to me. And, you know, I can appreciate it for what it was at the time, and I'm really happy that it actually came out because it is one of my favorite games of all time. Hell, I'm about to finish Shenmue 2 as we speak. And I also have a video planned for cool Shenmue stuff because I just went on a buying spree. I want to build a Shenmue shrine. Not an actual shrine, of course, just a shelf dedicated to Shenmue because I feel that the game series deserves it. But more on that in a future video. Towards the end of the year, I noticed that my actual GameCube was starting to show signs of age. Some of the games just were not running properly on it. Some of them just wouldn't read at all. And the controller port was also giving me issues with the wired controller. Very weird, very odd. So I opted into getting a modded GameCube. This thing has Swiss installed, it's got Game Boy interface installed, and it's actually custom painted to look like the actual teal blue controller that was released in Japan. And this thing is absolutely a game changer once you can force GameCube games into 480p, and I love this thing. I've been having a ball with it. Collecting for the GameCube again has been very interesting, but being able to buy a lot of these GameCube games and also completing the games that I only had the disc for has been a very rewarding experience, and if you watch my YouTube shorts you'll see a little bit more about that. Collecting and rebuilding the game wall in particular, my recent video games pickup show, I've been doing consistent episodes maybe once a month, and I've collected a ton of games recently, thankfully, some through eBay and mostly through claim sales. So thank you once again to all the claim sellers who keep putting up banger sales on their Instagram pages. Guys like Keisha Boy Games, Retro Gaming Zone, The Game Supplier 1994, Professor Raichu, Mr. Cali Collectibles, TNT Games, BNS Retro Gaming, just to name a few of the guys that I claim games from. You guys are helping this game wall rise up even higher than before. So anyways, thanks again to all of you. The channel in particular has been doing pretty well. It's been getting steady growth. However, the engagement is still kind of spotty. I would like a little bit more in terms of comments, because if you watch the video, it's one thing, but hitting the like button, sharing the video with some of your friends, and of course commenting helps the channel grow. And we're already at 455 subscribers, very close to 500, and it's always the first 1,000 subscribers that's always the hardest to get. So I'm really looking forward to reaching that milestone when we hopefully get there. But moving forward, let's talk about some of the games that I played this year that really stood out to me and some that really honestly didn't. First off, we have Pokemon Legends Arceus. This came out earlier in the year, and can I be perfectly honest with all of you? I love Pokemon. I started with day one with Pokemon Blue. I just can't finish them anymore. I don't know what it is. I get deep into them and then I just stop playing them. I don't remember the last game I finished in the series. I think it was Pokemon Y, actually. Yeah, Pokemon Y was the last one I finished. It's been bad. I've gotten them all since. Pokemon Legends Arceus was supposed to change up the formula quite a bit, and from what I did play, I really did enjoy where they were going with this one, and I really should spend a little more time into it, but I can say that about every recent Pokemon game that came out within the past couple of years. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Andy B Plays actually reminded me that I had gotten this game and I still haven't played it. I actually started recently playing it like a week ago when I was sick, and I'm really enjoying it actually. It's quite cute, and I really need to spend more time into this one because I know it is a banger. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. This is another game that's a love letter to classic beat-em-ups and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games in general. Got this for my birthday and I was really happy to receive it. I only played like maybe the first 2 levels with my wife, but when she's in the mood, I definitely want to play a little bit more of it with her in co-op because, let's face it, when it comes to these classic beat-em-ups, co-op is the way to go. Bayonetta 3. This game was marred with controversy thanks to the whole voice actress situation, but that didn't stop me from picking up the game. I'm not one of those people that boycott games. Kids these days and their cancel culture, get the hell out of here. Bayonetta 3, from what I've played, I'm really enjoying it. However, the game's technical limitations are definitely showing with this one. I felt like Bayonetta 2 was a better looking game, and but from what I played, I'm really enjoying it. It has the best look for Bayonetta in general. Right now I'm at a Viola section, and I don't know, I just kind of stopped playing it, but I should really get into it, even though I'm not a big fan of the character right now. AI The Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative. Oh boy, I finished this one. It's one of the few games that I actually finished this year. The original blew my mind. The story was amazing, and this one in particular was a great continuation of the series, and the characters came back, so it was very fun. I loved the new characters they introduced. In terms of the actual story, it was a bit trippy. They did throw in a curveball, as they tend to do, and it kind of like confused me a little bit in terms of like the timeline and how it all played out, and I didn't feel like the antagonist in the game was as interesting as the original games, but I won't say anything more. The game is still solid, it's a fantastic story, and I definitely suggest you all check this one out after you checked out the first one. And last but not least, the game that stood out to me the most in terms of new games that came out this past year that I actually played, Stray. This was a game that I was super hyped for. I was really looking forward to checking it out. It looked so mysterious and intriguing. Being able to play as a cat in this weird, like, underground cyberpunk almost world where there's no humans, just robots. And while I haven't finished it just yet, I know I'm getting towards the end and I'm really enjoying it. Now that I actually got a PS5, I look forward to going back into it and actually finishing it. So from what I've played though, I absolutely love this game. And I really do hope it gets some type of DLC or even a sequel. Now there were also a ton of games that I did miss out on this past year because, listen, it's hard to keep up with all those new games that are coming out when you're buying all these older games. But here's a list of some of the games that I missed out on that I would really like to go back and play eventually when I get the time. So the list starts off with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. The whole pre-order situation for that collector's edition really did turn me off. Live Alive, another game that I really enjoyed the demo for that I should really pick up. Digimon Survive, Soul Hackers 2, two RPGs that I really would like to play. However, time is always an issue when it comes to those type of games. Splatoon 3, missed out on, was kind of Splatooned out, honestly. And even though I have a lot of fun with Salmon Run with my wife in those games, I'd probably gonna wait a little longer before I pick that one up. The new Star Ocean came out, and once again, another JRPG that I just really didn't have the time to sink into, that I would like to get into eventually, because I heard a lot of great things about this one. Dragon Quest Treasures, another game that came out late in the year that I just didn't get a chance to pick up. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was another one that I was really hyped for, and once news about the technical malfunctions of the game and all the bugs and technical glitches came out, it kind of killed my hype for it. That being said, I heard a lot of great things about it for those who have played it and enjoyed it, and I really do want to get it at some point, but even my wife is kind of iffy on it. She kind of want to wait till it gets a patch, and we're going to wait a little bit longer before we do pick that one up. Another one that came out later in the year that I just recently got was Sonic Frontiers, and I did play quite a bit of this recently, like last week, and oh boy, I'm addicted to this game. But more on that in a future video. Let's talk goals for 2023. I definitely want to put up some more videos on a monthly basis. However, time is always an issue, and juggling two channels is always an even bigger issue. With that out of the way, I gotta say, being focused on the CesArcade has been a rewarding experience. I've met a lot of fantastic people, especially in the YouTube gaming community this past year, and I'm really happy I did. And it just keeps growing. I love this networking. This is what it's all about. Getting to meet like-minded people who share your passion for the hobby and getting to connect with them and also share those connections and collaborate. That's always a fun thing, and it's always something that I'm open to. Now moving forward, when it comes to the actual collecting side of things, I definitely want to collect some more of the Super Nintendo side and Nintendo 64 side of things. I do want to mod my N64 to run RGB or something, because currently I have it with composite cables, and capturing footage from that is just disgusting. Even with the RetroTink 5X, you put crap in, you get some crap out. And yeah, the N64 is definitely going to be a project to collect for and to mod. Speaking of modding, I want to get into soldering and actually modding actual consoles. In terms of video content moving forward, I want to introduce a new series called Random Game Encounters. Now, this might sound familiar. Maybe somebody on YouTube has done it already. If they have, I don't follow them, obviously, but this is what I plan to do. The reason why I'm collecting all of these games behind me is because I want to talk about a lot of them. But the goal with Random Game Encounters is to kind of make it look like a random Pokemon battle with a random console and a random game. I'm going to number generate everything and list everything down, and it's going to pick a random game. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, how much it's going for on the aftermarket at the time, and share if it's worth picking up for anybody who's interested in that type of game. So it's definitely sounding a little convoluted right now, but trust me, it won't be as convoluted as it sounds. And that's pretty much it moving forward. I think that's now the main event. I want to show off the game wall. So I kind of want to take you through it. This is how it originally looked back in the old apartment. Then obviously, you know, the fire happened. I seem to mention it a lot, but that's how it was. And then I started rebuilding it, and you're going to see a natural progression over time till what it is now. So enjoy, and I'll catch you at the end. As you can see, it's been quite a journey of rebuilding this thing, and just sharing that with all of you has always been something that I've been very fond of. This is the CesArcade, and I thank you all for joining me once again. Really do appreciate all of you for tuning in. If you like what you see, remember to like the video, share it with some of your friends, share it on social media. Hell, comment down below how you like progress of the video game wall. What would you like to see more of on the channel in particular? I'm always interested in hearing some feedback. But anyways, thank you for taking the time to watch this video and this end of the year recap for 2022. Without further ado, I bid you all good game and good night.